"What the hell is this?" Marcus Whitfield's voice ripped through the pristine kitchen like a scalpel. The overhead light cast his shadow against the wall like a jagged bolt of lightning. Marble counters gleamed. Stainless steel flashed. A pot of chicken soup simmered with a soft roll of bubbles. The wooden spoon resting on the rim quivered. Amara Johnson turned left hand, gripping the pot handle, right hand pressed to the edge of the island to steady herself. Two children clung to her like a double heartbeat. Lily pressed to her chest, Leo wrapped to her back. Both were nestled snug inside a thick blue and gold woven sling patterns flowing like a river. Tiny fingers tugged at threads. Wide black eyes blinked. A mouth babbled. Peace landed on her shoulders like a small bird. Marcus blocked the doorway, shoulders tight, jaw clenched. His steel-gray eyes fixed on the bright fabric like it was evidence of some invisible crime. "What is this?" He jabbed a finger. "You're turning my kids into merchandise strapped to your back." Steam burst from the pot, breaking into mist under the light. The scent of celery, chicken, and black pepper drifted to the doorway, but it wasn't enough to soften the voice of a man just crushed by the weight of a day. "Mr. Whitfield, please, primitive. Uncivilized. This is not how Americans raise children." Each word cut like a blade, not dialogue, a verdict. His shoes struck the stone floor like a gavel. 3 steps, 2 steps, 1. His large hand reached for the knot at Amara's shoulder. Amara straightened. Her voice was small but clear. "This sling is safe. It's been used for thousands of years. Right now, it's helping Lily and Leo breathe steady, eat well, sleep soundly." She counted silently in her head 1, 2, 3, keeping Lily steady with her heartbeat, keeping Leo calm. Both looked at her as if she were the shore itself. "Pack your things. You're fired." Marcus didn't blink. The decision snapped out like a switch. "Take your hands off my children." Lily stopped babbling. Leo tilted his head. The twin rhythm against Amara's body faltered, then tightened like strings pulled taut. "Please." "Wait," she said, still holding her ground. Her breath, her balance for both. "Look, they're—" His hand yanked the knot. Leo screamed, slicing the air. His hand tore another wrap free. Lily wailed from her gut. The chain reaction rose like a storm slammed the glass ceiling and fell as rain made of sound. The sling sagged halfway, like a piece of sky torn loose. Schedule. Position. Marcus growled through his teeth as he pulled Lily from Amara, cradling the rigid child like a drill exercise. Lily arched away from his shoulder. Leo thrust out stiff arms, face-flushed legs, kicking as if swimming against air. Their cries stretched into a taut thread, ready to snap. The soup foamed to a boil. The wooden spoon knocked the pot's rim tick-tock, tick-tock like a countdown clock. Grace Chen appeared at the threshold, silver hair, tied-back navy suit, crisp. She looked at Marcus's bloodshot eyes at the children ripped from their safe harbor. She didn't speak much. She turned off the stove, covered the pot, set a hand on the cold stone as if giving the kitchen back a trace of warmth. "Tell me," she said quietly, firm but gentle, which is more civilized, what makes children laugh or what leaves them drained. Amara didn't frown. She only drew a long breath, gathered the sling in her hands as though cradling a torn heart. "I'll pack," she said. No begging, no arguing. Dignity held like a single breath. She walked out of the kitchen, shoulders straight. Behind her, 2 cries chased each other across the stone floor, slammed the glass walls, circled the staircase. Abstract paintings on the walls watched in silence like eyes too afraid to close. The elevator doors slid shut. A red light blinked. The hallway stretched out like a runway. Amara stood, one hand dragging her worn suitcase, the other clutching the hastily folded sling. She paused before the tall glass pane facing Puget Sound. Outside, black water, cold wind. Inside, stone steel glare. Little ones, she whispered. No one heard, but the words found their place in her heart and stayed. If you believe differences deserve respect, hit like right now. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, because what's about to happen will shatter the way you think about the word civilized. The front doors opened. Night air cut against her hands. Amara pulled her suitcase over the steps. Behind her came one long sob, like the final thread snapping. Inside the steel house, two fragile hearts had just been torn from calm. Outside, a young woman carried an heirloom of cloth into the night, not shedding a single tear. Detroit. Night. The fluorescent tube light flickered like a shiver. The wooden kitchen table was buried under Bill's Aunt Diane's chemotherapy invoice with numbers longer than a breath. 3 months of overdue rent stamped in red like a cut. Jamal's spring tuition at Howard, the warning letter clipped neat and cold. Amara sat hunched like a C pen, tapping, crossing out, recalculating, adding, then erasing. The numbers refused to obey. Every sum was another how. She opened the cabinet. The sling lay folded inside like a warm secret. Blue gold fabric smoothed the seams, a little frayed one corner still smelling of cheap detergent. Her mother used to say, "This cloth carries the heartbeat of the whole family." Her grandmother carried her mother carried Amara, her mother carried Jamal. Children slept on the backs of adults. Adults walked through long days with their hands still free to cook, wash, patch life. Fabric held the hand, held the backpack, held the heart. A circle. The phone buzzed. Seattle area code. Grace Chen, speaking a crisp woman's voice, not a word wasted. "I've reviewed your application for the live-in nanny position. 8-month-old twins. Salary $4,000 a month. Room and board included." "Can you start right away?" Amara shot up the chair, groaning in protest. She glanced at the bedroom door where Diane, after another cough, lay breathing, shallow, an old cotton robe over her thin shoulders. Jamal leaned against the frame backpack on, trying to mask his worry. "Yes," Amara said, just one word. But it flipped a switch. The light didn't blaze on instantly, but a faint line appeared ahead. That night turned into a family council. Few words, many hands clasped. "You have to go," Diane said, her dry palm gripping her niece's. "Somewhere out there, 2 little ones need a miracle, and so do we." Jamal started, "I'll defer. I'll work to help you." Amara shook her head. "You've got 6 months left. You must graduate. No one in this house quit school for being poor. No one." The words fell onto the table like an oath. The Greyhound station reeked of diesel tile floor wet with rain, a crackling loudspeaker calling departures. Amara hugged her aunt, hugged her brother, tried to memorize the smell of laundry soap ointment, kerosene stove. "I'll call every day," Jamal said, eyes red. Every day, Amara nodded. She pulled her suitcase, slid the sling between shirts, a couple of old blouses, a pair of worn shoes. Like tucking a heart into luggage. On the bus, she dozed, fingers unconsciously tracing the edge of cloth. Every stitch a story, every fray a winter. Seattle, heavy sky. Glass, steel cold plains. The iron gate clicked open. Marcus's house jutted from the cliff like a ship's prow. Puget Sound below. Water slammed rock. Wind pressed the glass. Beautiful, but not built to hold anyone. Grace waited at the door, silver hair tied back, navy suit sharp. Her eyes swept the old suitcase, frayed seams, worn shoes. "Miss Johnson," she nodded, "come with me." The door closed, shutting out the wind. Stone floors shone like mirrors. Abstract paintings hung at exact intervals. Leather chairs bore no imprint of use. Everything correct, because "Here correct" was written first in a thick binder. 7 nannies in 8 months, Grace said as she led up a floating staircase. Mr. Whitfield has very specific requirements. Her words carried no blame, no sympathy. Just a caution sign slippery road ahead. The office had floor-to-ceiling glass. Marcus stood facing the sea. When he turned, Amara saw a weariness in his face that refused to exhale. He placed a thick binder on the desk, pointed at numbered tabs. Feed every 4 hours. Sleep on schedule. Activity per guidelines. No improvising his voice flat as the desk. The name Sarah passed by like a shadow. His wife. Gone 6 weeks after childbirth. Grief frozen, hardened into rules. Rules poured over, feeling like concrete over grass. The nursery. Monitors blinked, digital thermometers, humidifier. Designer cribs, organic blankets. Toys organized by developmental stage. Lily was plump but exhausted. Face flushed from crying eyes pleading, "Who will hold me?" Leo kicked like swimming on dry land, furious with air. They cried not for milk, but like lost cubs. Dr. Evan Morrison had sighed once. No physical issue, attachment issue. The words fell on stone and slid away, finding no hold. Amara approached, didn't scoop them up, placed her warm hand on a tiny foot. Counted 1, 2, 3. "I'm here." Lily hushed for half a beat as if hearing. Leo exhaled a thin breath as if someone smoothed his brow. Then both cried again. The room didn't know how to hold anyone. That first night, Amara read the binder like a vow, set alarms, checked temperature, adjusted light. The house measured everything, except warmth. Before bed, she opened her suitcase, touched the sling. Soft. Weighted with memory. She laid it across her chest, not wrapping, just holding it, feeling her heartbeat 3 counts at a time. Tomorrow, she whispered, "If the book loses, let the heart win." The first 3 days, buy the book. Alarms shrieked like fire sirens. Bottle caps clicked. Thermometers climbed and fell. Apps ticked and pinged. Lily still cried. Leo still startled awake. Their rhythms clashed, one fell asleep just as the other woke. The awake one pulled the other along as if tied by an invisible string. The glass house magnified every sob. Each step Amara took on the stone floor echoed like walking hospital corridors, clean, cold, sterile. The 4th night. 1 a.m. A lamp glowing dim gold. Amara held Lily on her shoulder, Leo in the crib. She hummed an old lullaby her mother used to sing, hips swaying small, her palm patting 3 beats on a tiny back. No book, no chart, just heartbeat to heartbeat. Leo softened, first shoulders, loose a deep sigh. Lily's clenched mouth loosened her cries, breaking into stuttering hiccups, then fading. For the first time, the room heard true silence. Morning. Marcus in his glass office. Amara opened her suitcase, took out the sling, checked airways, chin angle, nose to chin spacing. Tied a front carry for Lily, a back carry for Leo. Swapped them every 15-20 minutes. Rest, switch. Sometimes she laid one skin to skin against her chest, while the other rested in the sling beside the stove, watching the fire. She didn't brag, didn't announce. She just did as her grandmother once did, as her mother once did, as her body instructed. The body remembered what no book wrote down. The miracles came small, but steady. Feeding was no longer a battle. Sleep was no longer a struggle. Eyes began to search for each other. Mouths babbled in response. Lily watched Amara chop Carrot's eyelids, drifting shut like thin leaves. Leo chased steam rising, reaching to touch a puff of white mist before bursting into laughter. Peace perched on Amara's shoulder so light only the wearer could feel its weight. Noon. Grace passed the kitchen. She stopped. Watched a long while. "How do you do it by showing them who they belong to?" Amara said, pulling her cardigan to cover the sling. The fabric hid under wool like a secret. Afternoon, a red light blinked. Marcus pulled up the nursery feed on his office screen. He saw smiles. He saw steady naps. He saw bottles emptied to the last drop. He didn't see how. He summoned Amara. "What are you doing differently?" "I'm following the schedule," she answered. Not untrue, not the whole truth. Half of it lived folded in a drawer. At the company Storms brewed, a headline about culture fit that excludes difference spread across the homepage. Investors messaged relentlessly. The chief engineer said bluntly, "The boss doesn't listen." Marcus carried that frustration home, hung it on someone else's shoulders like a cold coat. Surveillance tightened. A new tablet placed in Amara's hands. Log everything. Every minute, yes. She obeyed. Knowing the electronic collar had tightened one more notch around her work around the secret of the sling. Small comments began, good instincts, but untrained. "Here we follow American standards. Safety must follow the book." Each phrase a paper cut. Amara swallowed them. Because the twins were growing by the hour. Because every time she lifted them 3 heartbeats hers, Lily's Leo's beat in sync, like 3 small drums playing one song. Night. A video call to Detroit. Diane smiled, seeing Lily and Leo asleep against Amara's chest. "Those babies are loved," she said, voice weak but warm. "I'm helping," Amara replied. "But I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that when people don't understand the very thing saving their children will be called primitive." "Hold your dignity," Diane said. "The truth stands on its own, especially when it rocks babies to sleep." The next morning, Amara opened the sling again, wrapped, swapped, soothed, cooked a new pot of soup, and prayed the cameras captured only the smiles, never the fabric. The board meeting dragged on 6 hours. Lawyers, investors, a projector glare as harsh as an operating lamp. Questions slashed the air, revenue risk, bias exclusion. Marcus sat in the storm of blades, cold outside, burning inside, and ended hollow. 4 p.m. The front door banged open. His shoes struck the stone floor. He needed to control something, anything. The kitchen, maybe. The children, maybe. A humming floated from the kitchen, the scent of chicken soup gentle as a hand on the shoulder. He turned the corner and exploded. The sight of a twin sling right at the kitchen island. Lily against Amara's chest. Leo against her back. 2 faces calm as if laid down in grass. "What are you doing with my children, Mr. Whitfield, please? Out, pack, now. Please look at them, primitive, dangerous. This is my house, and they are your children," Amara said softly, resting on this heart. His hand yanked the cloth. Leo screamed. His hand tore the knot. Lily wailed. The chain reaction rose like a hot wave shattered against the glass ceiling. Grace appeared, lips pressed to a hard line. No one could reason with an ego brimming to the edge. "I'll go," Amara said. Short, steady, not begging, not pleading. She pulled her suitcase. The door closed. The sling folded back into the case like a heart locked shut. Night 1. The twins would not sleep, would not eat, cried until their throats rasped. Marcus paced around the cribs. Right posture, right schedule, wrong heart. Bottles cooled, then warmed, then cooled again. His hand shook, his shirt wrinkled. Night 2. Their cries tangled with the bay wind. His phone buzzed with plunging stock alerts. Emails blazed red with crisis. He shut it all off. The house held only 2 wailing voices, long and thin like violin strings stretched to breaking. Night 3. Dr. Evan Morrison stepped in, looked at plummeting weight charts, pressed foreheads, listened to chests, frowned. "I've seen failure to thrive," he said. "But this fast, dangerous. If nothing changes, hospitalization." The word hospitalization hit the stone floor and rolled straight into Marcus's chest like a marble. That night, he sat before the screen. Typed, African baby-wearing twins, skin-to-skin infant trauma, AAP contact, tab after tab, eyes dry, neck stiff. Each study, each guideline, each case report shredded his old certainties. Tradition wasn't superstition. It was lived science, especially for twins. Continuous contact, rhythmic soothing, secure attachment. Exactly what he had ripped away in the name of civilization. Morning. Amara's background check report landed on his desk. Clean, dedicated, outstanding. She's intuitive, a healer, one reference wrote. He clenched the paper, phone to ear. Number of a motel near the airport. Long rings. "Amara, this is Marcus." Silence filled. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. The twins, they won't eat, won't sleep. The doctor says it's dangerous. Please, come back. Detroit." Diane heard and stormed. "They call our wisdom barbaric." Jamal slammed the table. "Don't go back." Amara leaned at the motel window. Seattle drizzle streaking the glass. Somewhere 2 babies were crying for a heartbeat. She decided not for the man apologizing, for the 2 small hearts she had once steadied. The day she walked back and Marcus looked 3 years older. Hair disheveled, shirt creased, eyes hollow. Anything. 3 conditions. Amara stood tall. 1, never call my tradition primitive again. Respect it. 2, a formal apology, not just to me, to my family. 3, learn. No more blind scheduling. You'll understand why this way works. For twins, we have safety frames carry duration, alternating airway checks, temperature. And you will hold skin to skin with one while I carry the other, then switch. Marcus nodded. No defense, no excuses. He laid his ego down on the stone floor, the same floor that once heard him decree primitive. That afternoon, Lily and Leo drained their bottles. Slept deep. Smiles returned like sunlight breaking clouds. Dr. Morrison re-examined. "They've surpassed the milestone," he said with a smile. "Keep going. If you believe the right apology can save an entire family, leave a heart in the comments. What happens next will make you smile all day." From the nursery, warmth spread through the house. The kitchen stopped being an exhibition. It cooked, it smelled good. On the wall, African art stood beside contemporary canvases. A small child's sling dried by the window sunlight threading through the fabric like honey. The glass and steel house softened its voice, giving way to laughter. Grace Chen passed by, smiling, her notes now down to a few lines, rice, chicken, carrots. The household had found its own rhythm. At the company, Amara stood in the glass conference room. No gown, no ornate words. Just one blank slide, one bold line. When someone succeeds differently from you, do you doubt them, or do you doubt your own bias? Silence. A foundation chair cleared his throat. A product director looked down. From then, hiring opened up. Interviews shifted. Mentorship crossed backgrounds. Product teams gained voices. Creativity surged. Reports brightened. Shareholders eased their edge. Marcus learned to listen, to ask questions before laying down rules, to stop turning grief into law. Thanksgiving. Diane flew into Seattle, stronger, hair thin but eyes bright. Jamal returned from D.C., his graduation gown neatly hung. Lily tugged Leo's hand, running circles around the table, auntie. The call filled the emptiness that once lived there. Marcus stood behind his hand on Amara's shoulder, said little, gave thanks by standing close, by letting the twins rest their foreheads against his chest without crying. That evening, the nursery. Sunset spilled across the rug. Amara read from a picture book. Lily rested her head on her lap. Leo curled around her neck like a kitten. Marcus knelt. No fireworks, no orchestra, just a small box, one elegant ring, and another gold etched with patterns inspired by the sling. "Marry me," he said. "I want to keep learning." So the twins speak 2 languages, so this house carries 2 legacies, so respect always lives here. The wedding was in a garden. Drums beat alongside a string quartet. Amara turned her mother's sling into a sash. Marcus gave a quiet minute for Sarah. The past was named, the future embraced. Grace stood at the garden's edge, eyes wet. Dr. Morrison raised a glass like a doctor who had finally seen his patient sleep. Dinner carried chicken soup that smelled of that first day. This time, no one turned off the stove halfway. 2 years later, Marcus Jr. was born. Lily and Leo, now 3, took their roles as solemn teachers. Breathe like this. Lie like this. This is our home. Laughter poured down the staircase like a stream. Diane moved to Seattle for regular care at a good hospital. Jamal signed his engineering contract at Whitfield Technologies. The Whitfield Johnson Foundation logo glowed soft on the wall scholarships for minority students in tech. But the greatest achievement wasn't on any bulletin. It lived in children's laughter echoing across stone floors at dinner time. It lived in the way a man held his child without checking the clock. One afternoon, Marcus stood on the porch watching mother and children in the garden. Lily taught Marcus Jr. colors in English and a few native words Amara was relearning. He remembered that sterile kitchen, the shout, the wrong decision, the phone call that rerouted a family's flight path. He walked into the kitchen, wrapped Amara from behind, rested his chin on her shoulder. "Thank you." "For what? For teaching me how to hold? And teaching this house how to live? Thank you for staying with this story." Where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The next clip will blow apart something you thought you knew. See you in the next episode.